Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar on HS code classification and challenges with seafood imports. A few small items to get started with. We are recording today's session, and it will be made available through YouTube and on the Byte website, and there's a chat function that you can use as well. So for those of you who have not attended previous Byte webinars, my name is Anne, and I am the Director of Data Science at Byte Data. I've been leading the Byte team for about 2 years, and with me today I have Tariq, our Byte's CEO and co-founder, and also Afolabi. So Tariq, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Anne. And thanks a lot, Afolabi, for coming on today. Afolabi and I met last year at the National Customs Brokers Association conference. We had great chat and discussion. He's a super entrepreneur, very successful in the trade space and the software space. And yeah, we're very lucky and pumped to have you on, Afolabi.
Thank you so much, Tariq. Thank you, Anne. I'm so happy to be here.
Great. So just a little bit about the way today will work. So in today's session, we'll be focusing on the unique challenges faced in classifying seafood products and the associated controls or tariffs and duties. So we will first take a look at kind of the enforcement and insights into kind of complications in seafood imports. And then we will go into classification and controls. So with that, I will hand it over to you, Tariq, to take us through some background on enforcement in seafood and fishing.
Yeah, and people probably don't always think, oh, look, I'm buying shrimp. There's all these trade controls and import related restrictions and stuff like that. But the USDA estimates upwards of 23 billion worth of imports came through US ports in 2023. So that's a large amount of trade. There are a number of agencies that regulate it, obviously, as I mentioned, USDA, but there's also the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration as well. They do a lot of enforcement, interestingly, into parts of shipping and importing seafood. There's a lot of trade monitoring by Fish and Wildlife as well. So, the partner government agencies working with CBP to regulate, imports is quite extensive. And so, we'll go through, obviously, on the webinar, different types of, PGA codes, dumping orders, things like that, regulated by Customs and Border Protection, by NOAA, by Fish and Wildlife, and the USDA as well. A lot of the federal regulations for fishing are under Title 16 of the U.S. Code, includes the primary law for management of fishing in U.S. waters, the Magnuson-Stevens Fishery and Conservation Management Act, which is in place to ensure sustainability of marine fisheries. That's Title 16 under the U.S. Code. Aspects of fisheries management include trade monitoring, as I mentioned, Marine and Mammal Import Act provisions, identification of illegal and unreported and unregulated fishing as well. And there is a program that is managed called the Seafood Import Monitoring Program, or SIMP. Anne's going to go into that a little more deeply here. But that, together with the illegal fishing and unreported fishing and unregulated fishing, means there's quite a bit of enforcement action that's occurring, throughout the year. On the specific kind of cases and why it's important to maintain a regulated import and export, in some cases, structure. For example, last year, NOAA issued a penalty to Grand Sea Boston LLC for multiple violations of the SIMP. The investigation was initiated by CBP, and jointly coordinated with NOAA, revealed that Grand Sea failed to report multiple shipments, as well as a chain of custody with potentially illicit, fisheries as well. So they were found to have imported sea cucumbers and abalone without requisite permits. So, that's one example. NOAA's initiated fraud schemes with seafood products mislabeled under SIMP as well. And there was an IUU fishing operation, Yellowfin, at Veterans Point in Brownsville, Texas. During that 3-day operation, officers conducted 9 examinations under SIMP. 30,000 pounds of yellowfin tuna, 22,000 pounds of shrimp, 500 pounds of crab. Several of the shipments were referred to NOAA's SIMP audit team. And, additionally, they sampled processed crab meat as well. No specific fisheries violations were detected, but obviously that kind of audit will occur at certain ports and things like that. So, just a couple of examples on the multinational front as well. A firm had systemic reporting discrepancies for SIMP. Again, NOAA was involved. Customs got involved as well. So, at a large company level, there is quite a bit of regulation occurring as well, in the fisheries and wildlife. And interestingly, with some of the work we've done with illegal wildlife trafficking as well, we looked at, fishing coming out of Ecuador, and some of the more sensitive species of fish that were being transshipped, through various ports. Some of them actually through the US and onto places like Hong Kong. So, there's an aspect of IWT involved in the fishing industry as well. So, that's kind of from an enforcement standpoint. Obviously, I think on this call, we do want to, take a look at the import side specifically. So with that, I'll pass back to you, Anne.
Thanks. Yeah. And so Tarek mentioned SIMP, and what at a basic level, what SIMP is it's organized by NOAA, and it requires the importer of record to document and trace fish all the way from harvest through each step of any chain of custody and into the U.S. commerce. So it's designed to mitigate risks associated with specific species that are vulnerable to illegal, unreported, or unregulated fishing. And so that's IUU fishing. So illegal fishing is obviously any fishing that violates laws or regulations, and is also considered unauthorized fishing in restricted zones. There's also unreported fishing. So these are, unreported or misreported. So circumventing reporting standards, anything that fits into there, and then also unregulated fishing. So this is fishing in areas without established conservation or management measures. So according to NOAA, SIMP oversees 1,100 unique species, and those are grouped into 13 different categories. A lot of the fish in these categories are very well known. So I'm on Cape Cod. One of them is Atlantic cod. There's also grouper, king crab, red snapper, shrimp, and tuna. So it's really important that importers are aware of this program and adhering to the SIMP requirements. And so this helps just make sure that all of the fish that's entering the US market is responsibly sourced. So SIMP is kind of the importing requirements location. So with that background, I think we can now get into kind of classification and how we can learn more about how to import and what these codes are and the associated controls. So with that, I will hand it over to Afolabi, and he can take us through a demo of Tariffly.
Awesome. Thank you. And let me do my screen share now so that we can get this going. I'm going to do a little, people always ask me how I got into this. So I'm going to do a little bit of my story on how everything came to be. But let me make sure my screen is on. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. So I used to sell products on Amazon for several years, and one day I think it was just by accident, I was just kind of looking into all my customs declaration forms and trying to find out why my duty rate is so high. And I bumped into this 7501 form, and I'm like, what is this? So I took a look at it. It was the customs declaration form, and it explains the HTS code that was used to classify my product. And I looked at it, at the description, and it says photographic plate or something like that. I'm like, that's not what I'm selling. Why am I paying duties? Why am I paying duties on the wrong product? And I think my duty at that time was probably 35% or something like that. And I said, this is not my product. There's got to be a better way to do this thing. So I started digging. I started learning about HTS code, HS code, classification. There's 13,000 plus lines. I started combing all through the government's website to actually finally find the code that applies to my school supplies. I was selling school supplies, like a dry erase board. And when I found the code, the duty rate was 3.5%. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. From that one exercise, I was able to save hundreds of thousands of dollars because I was spending a lot of money buying inventories from China at that time. So I came to conclusion like there's got to be a simpler way to do this. There's got to be a simpler way for a Joe Block from nowhere, somebody that doesn't have any experience like myself, to classify products, to really do it right without having to jump through several hoops. Because many people importing from overseas, I found out that they're just trusting their freight forwarder or trusting their shippers to give them the correct HS code or HTS code. And in most cases, these are very wrong. So I said, you know what? I'm going to try to develop something. Let me just try to build something that will make it so simple for anybody to just search, find, any HS code so that they can stay compliant with the law. So that's why I built Tariffly. That's how Tariffly was born. I just wanted to make it a dumbed down version of any HCS code classification. So today, now that we're talking about fish and wildlife, we could start with like you were talking about the HTS code for yellowfin tuna. You can either search by the HTS code or you can search by the name of the product, and then you select what country is coming from. So in this case, I put in the HS code for yellowfin tuna, and I see it's coming from China, and I click on next, and it's going to guide me to step 2. Okay, the system already picked up that this HS code corresponds to a live animals. So I click on it. It already shortened it to me because there are several live animals, but because we're using AI to make it go really fast, it already listed and sorted out everything for me to only include one live animal category that belongs to that HS code. So I'm going to say select, and it's going to tell me, okay, well, we found some attributes that we think you need to drill down more so that you can classify this correctly. So since we're talking about fresh, we're going to pick fresh, and then the manufacturing process, it's live, so it's not a fillet or anything like that. It's not like an internal organs or whatever for the fish. I'm going to pick that, and I'm going to click next. So here it gives me a view of, just a quick view of what the duty rate is. But in order to see the full picture, we have to really look at the view rate details. So I click on view rate details. Now it gives me the full picture. And there are several things I can do from this page. I can either copy this HTS code and give it to my freight forwarder or my shipper, or I can start monitoring this code, because as you guys always talk about in Byte, that things are changing every time. You have to stay on top of this thing every time. So you can start monitoring the HS code by just clicking this, or you can suggest whatever keyword you use, you can suggest it to Tariffly. It's going to start using that keyword to learn more. But some really cool things are happening here. It says that there are 3 compliance or regulatory alerts here. And if you click view, it's going to take you to them. But before we get to viewing the alerts, we're going to see that right here, it's subject to PGA. The duty rate from China and the 301 code is here. The expiry date, the country of origin you use. It's saying the complexity is low because there's not a lot of suffixes that this product is affected by. So when we click on the PGA alerts here, if you click on view details, then you're going to be able to see what kinds of alerts are involved, so that you can respond and act accordingly and stay compliant. And the more you scroll down, you can see what kind of 301 we applied to it. And you can actually calculate your exact duty rate. If you're bringing this fish from China, you can, let's say you paid your supplier, $345,000. You can calculate the duty rate here. Our calculator already has all the, I think, 12 categories and 12 combinations and formulas that the CBP has. You can go down. If you're into export, you can actually see your Schedule B here. And the more you go down, you can now also see the special trade programs. A lot of people use this to do tariff engineering, and they want to know what other countries can I import this product from that is going to make it cheap or free duty. Germany is free. You can also search by any country you want. If you're bringing it from, say you're bringing it from Taiwan, you can click on that. It's going to say, okay, it's free from Taiwan. You can search by a specific trade program. If you want to click on Japan, you can search through that. Another cool thing I built into this is similar products with lower duty rates. Some people, especially in e-commerce or some other importers, they say, oh, well, we want to find out if there's a lower tariff, another kind of fish, maybe Atlantic cod or sea bass or whatever has a lower duty rate. We will kind of pick it up from here. It will show if there's any lower rate for that. And this is where you will see all your chapter notes, your section notes, your rules of interpretation. Russia, Belarus is here. So, talking to a lot of users, they tell me, wow, this is like a 5th grader thing. I say, yeah, that's actually my goal. I wanted to make it so simple because I started with not knowing anything about HTS code and HS code. So I wanted to build it for somebody from beginner stage to really advanced stage. If you want to dig deeper, you can go as deep as you want. Do you want us to look at other codes, or this is more than enough? And
yeah, maybe why don't we do this? I think this is great, and I love how you've put it at the 5th grade level. Trade compliance is complex. Everything you're doing in the back end, Afolabi, is complex. But you're making it simpler. I think it's always good to have that caveat, right? Like the tool might look simple, but what's actually happening in the back end is and so I know we wanted to look at 2 or 3 HS codes. Why don't you go ahead with running the other ones?
let me grab another one, like the prepared meals, something like that. Another cool thing that this has is you can either search by code, you can search by description, you can search by CBP rulings here, You can search by image. Some people say, I just want to drop my image in. I want the, AI image recognition to kind of figure it out for me. So if you're, a little bit lazy like I want to be sometimes, you can pop in your image here, and you can identify the product, and it will search it for you, especially if your image has white background. Or if you want to look into rulings, there's some words and phrases that are not in the USITC database. So let's say I'm searching for running shoes, and sneakers or running shoes is not in the CBP database. I'll go to rulings. If somebody gives me some weird fish name that I try the HTS search, it doesn't exist. I usually will go to rulings, because I know somebody must have filed some sort of appeal with the CBP, and it will be in the cross or rulings database. So let's do the next one. So this is more of a prepared meal, and I dump it here, and it's telling me, it's let's look at this. Let's say it's coming from let's say this is coming from Chile. I have no clue if they have this in Chile, but hey, let's try. So it already shortlisted it for me. But because it's a prepared dinner we're trying to get, so we would look into this to says fish meat and prepared meal. So maybe we use this one here, and the same process we go into, we just click on view rate details to see the full rate details. Another thing is, for other types of seafood, you can also see that it found all these things for you as well. So we just click on view rate details, and it's showing us all the suffixes here. And you can actually click on the suffix. So, and it's categorizing the suffix for you in the order of priority to what you're actually looking for. So instead of digging through several suffix, it already did the job for you, so that you don't have to go through the pain of looking for all that. And then you can click back button, and it shows compliance alerts again. You click on it, it tells you what it is. You click on the view details. It's telling you USDA, APHIS, FDA, seafood import monitoring program says specific data is required, and it's giving you all the codes here as well. So it's pretty straightforward. The duty rate is, because it's free from Chile, you don't need to pay any duty when it's coming. And then, just like I described, you're exporting, you can see your Schedule B here, and this other stuff, special trade program, and if there are lower duty rates from other countries, it's free. So free is free, free is the lowest. So it wouldn't show any other, similar products that are also lower than free, because free is the lowest. So that's another example of how to do, how to look at prepared meals, prepared fish meal.
That's great. Really, really helpful and easy to navigate and use. So, yeah, well done on building this platform, Afolabi.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, maybe looks like we're at 12:30. Maybe we could pivot and to maybe showing now some of the trade controls and how to search for that.
Yeah, great. I was also going to show just a few open source resources that are available just to the trade community. So jumping in and sharing my screen. I think, everyone probably knows about this website already, but this is, if you do know the name, you can look up NHS here. As Afolabi said, though, you have to know how to read this and move through it, so it can be a bit complicated. So additional tools are helpful, but I did just want to highlight that as a tool. Also, NOAA has this seafood import and export tool. And so what this does is allow you to come in and pick import or export, then see the scientific name if you need to look that up for any reason, and that can help when you are looking for permits or if you need a permit. But you can click import and then select, and it does give you pictures. So you can select dolphin, and then it just tells you if it's managed under SIMP. So this is just a public resource that's available that we could recommend. And then also, as we said, a number of U.S. agencies regulate this. So Fish and Wildlife does have this "Do I need a permit" page. There is a video here that walks you through exactly how it works. And then they take you through, again, different steps to determine if you need a permit. So this is helpful, again, determining the specific name of your species. You can visit CITES and look up by the common name or the species name. And then down at the bottom, they do have find the permit application you need. So this is actually like, once you've gone through all of these steps, if you need help finding the right form, Fish and Wildlife is a great resource. So just some public open source tools that are available to the trade community if you need additional resources. So then jumping over to BITE, I think it's going to make me log in one more time. So let me just do that now. So again, similar Afolabi, what you just showed, but we have some additional controls in here as well. So searching using the BITE screening tool, we can look at products. And here we can search also by HS code. So I will choose this HS code here, and it's for farmed shrimp. And then in BITE, you can apply a specific lens. So in this case, if I'm importing, I can look at ADCVD, China 301, PGA codes, in US agencies. And then we can see the various lists here that are associated with these different lenses. So here we have SIMP, as we've talked about. We have the anti-dumping. We also have the 301s, all the PGA codes. And I will hit apply. And then I can see my results down below. So in this case, this is subject to SIMP. We include a link out, so if you did want to learn more about what the flag is, what SIMP is, that's available there. And then it also looks like, I'm going to guess based on the high number of returns, that we have an ADCVD order as well. So in this case, we have the case number, and then we have actually the rates by manufacturer or by exporter. So all of that is available through BITE as well. And we can see this is frozen warm water shrimp, and then the risk country. So in this case, this is an order against India. So you can look by country to see if that's applicable to you. So again, just picking another one. In this case, I can do fish sticks. So searching that, and I have a few saved filters as well. So I have a filter specifically for my seafood imports, or if I just want to look at SIMP, NOAA, and Fish and Wildlife, I can keep those filters saved there for future use and search on those. And I can then see my two results, SIMP and NOAA. So easy to filter down and see exactly what controls we're looking for on the different HS codes. And yeah, so that is just a little bit about using BITE to look up controls and import flags. Also in BITE, we have our BITE GPT. So we can ask the Byte GPT, which is AI powered, to provide a summary of the different flags that we found. I typically then take that output and save it in my vault so that I have a record of any research or due diligence that I've done on a specific HS code, and I save that in my analytics vault. So with
That is
that, I will
cool.
stop sharing. And yeah, happy to answer any questions on Byte. And yeah, open for discussion now with you, Tarek, and Afolabi.
I think that thing, the lens, the GPT, I think it's really, those are really good. Especially if I want to import something and I can just ask the by GPT and say, look, I'm looking to import this. What should I be aware of? Is that how that works? I'm just guessing that's probably how it works. Maybe if you can do a demo of how the GPT one works and how to save it in the vault. I think that's a really cool feature. It's it already for someone that is not like doesn't know anything about compliance and regulations, they can just use that GPT version and just say, you know what, I'm bringing this. Tell me what I should be aware of. Tell me what's going on here, and it will kind of spill it out for you. Is that how it works?
Yeah, let me just demo that really quickly. So what we can do is say, I'm importing HS code, and we'll just use the same fish sticks example. Please provide me summary of the import flags, risks, and regulations. And it goes out to the GPT server, so it does take a minute, but it typically keeps you updated on what it's doing. So in this case, it's searching against the Byte data, so all the data in the platform, and then it also will go out to the internet, and then it provides, like we said, so the different rates.
That's really good.
And yeah, I typically like run the search in the screening tool and just like get an idea and then go to the GPT to ask for a summary to then confirm like what I've seen. And it will also search against the cross and border rulings as well. So all of that provides that summary. And then, like I said, I just copy paste that and take it into the vault ticket.
Yeah, and I've just sent you another one here that's kind of general, and if you want to try it out, but it's kind of like our company sells to distributors and resellers when shipping in certain international locations. Do we need to report both the distributor and end user when filling out export declarations? So, something simple like that. We're part of the International Compliance Professionals Association, and they send daily questions from the community, and we kind of like to run them against the chatbot.
Wow.
Yeah, and you can take this and save it in a ticket and share it with the team.
It's really good.
Yep. So
really good.
And it's pretty easy to integrate Afolabi if you want to do it on Tariffly. Be kind of happy to show you where the OpenAI API is, and it's really easy to get connected.
That's what I'm thinking, because these are all valuable information that just kind of summarizes everything for you. Just the key things you need to you need to act on, and what to do about it, what steps to take. I think it's very valuable, and it just simplifies the super complex regulatory and compliance um, compliance industry. I think it's super the more I got into it, the more I started learning, the more complex I see that it was. I'm like, man, why is everything all scattered? Like everything is just all over, but this kind of brings it all together, so that you're not tearing your hair out, trying to look for stuff and trying to find, how this works, how this one connects to these. Who am I supposed to contact? What authorities, agencies, involved in this one, running all over. This will do everything for you. So this is super cool.
Yeah, yeah. And so just kind of looking at general direction and trends, um, I kind of I kind of see within the supply chain trade compliance space, there's lots of tools popping up that do different things, right? And I think it can be a bit overwhelming, especially for trade compliance professionals. I try to use the analogy of like, there was cable before, right? And you had one place to get 80 different channels. And that was great. It was kind of one place. But if something happened to the company, or if there was a channel you couldn't get, or a sports game, as your need for kind of diversified entertainment increased, the kind of acceptance of, Hulu, Disney, Netflix, all these other kind of streaming apps, became mainstream almost. And I kind of see the same with, reg tech and trade compliance tech. But I'm interested to see what you think about that.
Yes, it's much needed, especially with the new administration coming in January. Everybody's now paying attention as looking at tariffs and trade compliance as something they should really know a lot about. Before, it's like, yeah, doesn't really affect me that much. But here, if there's going to be possibly additional tariff on $3 trillion worth of goods from overseas, you better start paying attention. You better be able to pay attention and get your information really fast, because there's no time to postpone anything. I had a guy was emailing me back and forth. He was bringing some stuff from China, not from China, from Germany and Netherlands. Kept emailing me and saying, "Hey, do you think there's going to be a problem with this? What do you think?" Something like the by GPT, just typing in there. Oh, I'm bringing in, you know, uh, 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 sugar from Germany. What are the things I should be aware of? What should I do? What are the PGs? What are the AD duties and stuff like that? Such a person doesn't have to learn too much about compliance, doesn't need to know anything complex. Just come in and type whatever is in your head. Just type it in there, and this will sort it out for you. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, and that's and I think being comfortable with having 2, 3, 4, 5, applications or tools that you need to use, I think is going to happen. You even see the trends around even things like Salesforce, or like the bigger platforms. There's all these smaller SaaS applications that are trying to kind of chew into their monopolies and things like that. So it's an interesting time, I think, for SaaS and for the trade compliance.
Yes, correct. Correct. I think some of the trends I'm seeing is that, a lot of people are coming into trade compliance, but the moment they start finding out how complex it is, they're like, wow, you're only dealing with the US, and there is Europe, and there is South America. That's each region, each continent is a whole, whole world on its own. And it's just so much information to have to deal with. But I think simplicity, because even novice importers are now paying attention. They're all, I see a lot of traffic increase searching for stuff now, because everybody is seeing that your ignorance of trade compliance could cost you a lot. So now everybody's starting to do the research by themselves. So the more simple yet robust the application is, the better it is for any user, pretty much.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and we haven't even gotten into forced labor, which, just to speak to that, for people importing fish into the US, that is, one of the target areas that CBP has looked at. So I didn't show it in the app, but we do have both lists of the different commodities that are associated with forced labor, whether that be, the fishing industry in China or elsewhere. And also entities as well. So, I don't think we can not talk about forced labor when it comes to fishing, because that is a problem in the industry as well. So adding that on top of all of the additional regulatory issues just makes it even that more complex.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I had a guy, someone referred some guy to me. He was making something in the fabric category, was selling stuff in fabric category, and his container was flagged. And they told him, they said, look, you have to return this container to China. And he's like, what? Why? He said, well, that region that you're making the cut, there's your one of your products in this container is made out of cotton. And the region that your factory is located is under the forced child labor. So just for that region, it's not even the supplier, from what he told me. Says they can't even prove that it's my supplier. They just said the region that my supplier has been completely blanketed and flagged for forced child labor practices. For that reason, they returned this container after several fines and fees of months and months of going back and forth. They sent it back. Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, between dumping, anti-dumping, forced labor, the PGA flags, and then also the as you mentioned, the EU, some of those regulations as well. So lots to navigate around, and and tariffs and duties. So lots to think about. But let's check if there's anything coming in from the audience or anyone who wants to ask anything.
I've not seen anything come in through the Q&A up until now, but we can give people just a second to come in there or in the chat if that's easier to find.
And while we wait on that, Afolabi, what's the roadmap for the company? Where are you? What is 2025 bringing for you?
We are heavily educating people, and we are actually this week we are actually making a big portion of Tariffly free for people because we saw that some people just wanted to know the capabilities of the software. So we say, you know what? For all the thousands of inquiries we're getting, all right, go ahead and use it. So we are doing that. We're also having people, we're having, companies sponsor the classifications for users. So some relevant companies that like to put their products or services in front of our users, we're saying, okay, all right, we would allow just a few companies to showcase what they have to our free users in terms of just putting ads in some areas. So instead of charging people for their classification, we actually have companies sponsor those inquiries for them. So For every inquiry these free users are having, you say, all right, this search was provided to you free by one of our sponsors. This company is providing this search to you for free. And it would be nice, if you have, let's say it's a shipping company, it's a freight forwarder, or any other company that is relevant to the trade industry, we'll let them sponsor people's inquiries and searches on our platform. So that's what we're heavily focusing on, and also to start pulling more data that people can use into our platform, like through API and through partnerships that we can connect to help. The more we can help people get all this information to them in a very simple something they can bite easily, we see that it's well worth it. So that's what we're doing for 2025.
Great. Anne, is there anything else you wanted to cover?
No, that covers it. So yeah, just thank you to you both for your participation and conversation, and to everyone who joined today. Thank you for your attendance. Happy to have you, and we will be back next month with a new webinar topic. So looking forward to next month.
And we're gonna post this on YouTube, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
That will
Okay.
be posted on
Cool.
YouTube, and we'll send it out through our social media channels.
Awesome. That's good.
Thank you so much, Afolabi. Really appreciate your time.
You're welcome, Tariq. You're welcome, Anne.
Thank
It's a
you.
pleasure to be here.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.